Away from the markets now, the International Monetary Fund says the coronavirus outbreak has eliminated hopes of stronger economic growth in 2020 and will likely cap output gains to the lowest rate since the 2008-2009 financial crisis. The managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, says the fund now sees world growth to be below the 2.9% rate achieved in 2019 and could fall to the 0.7% level seen in 2009. Meantime, the fund announced a $50 billion aid package to help fight the coronavirus in low-income and emerging market countries. Ms. Georgieva explains that the money will be used to bolster healthcare systems, target fiscal stimulus programs, and help liquidity. The IMF is also working with the World Bank to help countries obtain some of the medical equipment, such as medical masks and respiratory equipment, which is used to combat the virus. We'll take updates from the domestic commodities markets when we return in just a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The 8th edition of the Africa CEO Forum 2020 has been postponed as a result of the growing spread of the coronavirus outbreak across the world. The forum, which was set to hold from March the 9th to the 10th in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, will be held at a later date, which will be announced by the organizers. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, 5 African presidents, business leaders and tech startups were all scheduled to attend the event, which is one of the largest annual gatherings of the African private sector. Let's turn now to our domestic commodities market update, and today we're looking at noodles. Of course, noodles have become a household staple in Nigeria after an entry period of almost 2.5 decades. Well, let's talk to Aisat Dahoud, who is a research analyst at the financial derivatives company, for more. Good afternoon, Aisat. So the noodles industry is dominated by the Indomie brand produced by the United Foods Industries Limited. What's responsible for this rapid growth in market acceptability and dominance of this brand?
Oh yes, noodles became a household staple at expense of rice, gari, yam, many other things. Local production of this commodity began in 1996 when the popular brand Indomie, Dufil, the makers of Indomie, came into Nigeria to begin operations.
Now, but
they went ahead and, they enjoyed near monopoly for quite some years. They built on it, capitalized on it, they enjoyed market acceptability and even, dominated the market for quite some time. So the market acceptability intensified as urbanization increased. Think of it, an adult, any other person spend most of their hours at work and the rest of the hours commuting from one place to the other, and the fastest food that comes to their mind is Indomie. So, the company has gone by, it's always investing rapidly in research of good products and innovation. They've gone deeper. They interpreted consumer needs in such a way that they innovated varieties of these commodities to suit consumer taste. So this has worked for them to gain consumer loyalty.
Well, of course, there has been fierce competition amongst producers, resulting in almost a price war. A carton is now priced at about 2,100 naira thereabouts. Is there any chance that the price of noodles will increase in line with food inflation? And if eventually it does, why?
A carton of Indomie, the popular brand Indomie, varies from 1,900 to 2,100 naira, depending on where you're buying from and which location. So this price, this market has been a monopolistic market for a time, a near monopoly market for quite some time, before free entry began in the market in the early 20s, 2005 or thereabout, and following the theoretical economic principle that after every monopoly and free price wars as a result of fierce competition among producers when they're struggling for market share, we should expect a consolidation in the market. So in the near future, we might experience consolidation in this market, and that is going to drive up price for the commodity.
The aggregate demand for noodles is 4.58 billion servings annually, and that's an equivalent of 220 or 229.06 billion naira. Of course, the basic ingredients include wheat, palm oil, salt, and all. But with the new policies designed to encourage local production and import substitution, is there a risk that the importation of any of these items could be restricted from Forex?
Policies are majorly set to encourage employment, to encourage backward integration, to encourage import substitution. So, I mean, flour is processed from wheat and is used to produce noodles, cake, bread, a lot of other food staples. Let me also add that noodles, Indomie, is widely consumed and is considered a necessity. So a restriction in the near future is very, very uncertain. However, if there is one, manufacturers of this commodity will be well prompted and they will be given enough room of time to integrate backward and also consider other options before this kind of policy would be implemented. Thank you.
Many thanks, Aisa Dawood, one of the research analysts at the Financial Derivatives Company. We'll go now to South Africa, where business confidence rose in February due to lower inflation, as well as increased volumes of merchandise imports and new vehicle sales. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry's monthly business confidence index rose to 92.7 in February from 92.2 in January. According to the Chamber, the slight rise of the index indicates that the business climate, although gloomy, is battling the odds of a tight financial environment and a subdued economy. And banks in Sudan are introducing visa payment systems as the country seeks to develop its financial sector following decades of isolation. The head of electronic banking services at Sudan's central bank says approval has been given to Bank of Khartoum, Qatar National Bank, and United Capital Bank to start using the systems, which will be launched in about 3 weeks. Commercial and financial transactions in Sudan have been restricted by sanctions and the country's listing as a state sponsor of terrorism by the United States in 1993. Sudan, which has suffered from liquidity shortages and strictly controlled transfers of foreign currency, will have the first automated teller machines for international withdrawals installed at hotels. Oil prices rose more than 1% today as OPEC Plus begins a 2-day meeting in which Saudi Arabia is expected to push the group and its allies, including Russia, to agree to further output cuts to support the market. Brent crude rose by 1.3% to $51.80 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate was up 1.2% at $47.33 a barrel. Prices were also supported by a lower-than-expected rise in crude oil inventories in the United States, alleviating some concerns of oversupply in the world's biggest oil consumer. Gold edged up today on safe haven buying, fueled by worries about the fast spreading of coronavirus, but a rise in equity markets limited bullion's gains. Spot gold inched higher by 0.2% to $1,639.44 an ounce, while U.S. gold futures were up 0.2% to $1,640.10. In other metals, palladium slipped 1.7% to $2,532.40 an ounce, and silver edged up 0.2% to $17.21 an ounce, and platinum shed 0.4% at $868.79 an ounce. And that's it on today's program. Thank you for watching. I am BC Adebayo.